Why did God declare war on an entire nation and command that their memory be erased forever? Deep in the harsh deserts of the Sinai and the Negev lived a people whose name became synonymous with relentless opposition to God's purposes: the Amalekites. They were not just another rival tribe. They were a persistent enemy that shadowed Israel from the moment of their deliverance out of Egypt to the height of their kingdom. The first to strike after the Red Sea had parted, they attacked not with honor, but by preying on the weak and the weary. From that moment on, their story became one of unending conflict, divine judgment, and a warning that echoes through Scripture. To understand the Amalekites is to confront a deeper narrative, one that reveals the danger of compromise, the weight of disobedience, and the reality of a battle that goes far beyond the physical. The story of Amalek begins in the rugged hills of the desert, rooted in the lineage of Esau, the twin brother of Jacob. While Jacob became the father of Israel, Esau's grandson, Amalek, became the father of a tribe of nomadic hunters. They were men of the wild, conditioned by the harshness of the terrain and fueled by a deep-seated resentment. They didn't build great cities or leave behind majestic monuments. Instead, they became the ultimate predators of the wilderness. They were experts in survival, but more importantly, they were experts in cruelty. They didn't just want territory. They wanted to destroy the promise that Israel represented. The defining moment that sealed their fate occurred at a place called Rephidim. The Israelites had just escaped the iron grip of Egypt. They were tired, hungry, and wandering through a landscape they didn't know. They weren't a trained army. They were a nation of former slaves finding their feet. That is when the Amalekites struck, but they didn't march out for a fair fight or challenge the Israelite leadership in the open field. They were cowards who specialized in the ambush. They stayed in the shadows, waiting for the Israelites to stretch out on their journey. Then they descended upon the rear of the column. They targeted the stragglers, the elderly, the sick, and the children who couldn't keep up. They struck the weak when they were at their most vulnerable. This act of pure malice revealed the heart of Amalek. It wasn't about resources. It was about a total lack of fear for God. While the rest of the world trembled at the news of the Red Sea parting, the Amalekites saw the miraculous protection of God as nothing more than an opportunity to pick off the vulnerable. This triggered a cosmic struggle. On the battlefield, Joshua led the defense, but the real war was happening on a nearby hill. Moses stood there with the staff of God in his hands. As long as his hands were raised, Israel prevailed. When his hands grew heavy and dropped, Amalek surged forward. It took the support of Aaron and Hur to hold Moses' arms steady until the sun went down. This wasn't just a military victory. It was a declaration that Amalek represents a spirit that can only be defeated through divine strength and communal support. Because of this ambush, the decree of heaven was absolute. God swore that he would have war with Amalek from generation to generation. This wasn't just a historical event. It was a spiritual principle. Amalek became the personification of everything that opposes the move of God. They are the doubt that creeps in when you are exhausted. They are the temptation that hits you when your defenses are down. They represent the parts of our nature that refuse to acknowledge the sacred. This is why the command was so severe. You cannot negotiate with a predator that only wants to consume you. Centuries later, the weight of this decree fell on the shoulders of Saul, the first king of Israel. It was given a clear mission: to execute the judgment against the Amalekites and leave nothing behind. This was his ultimate test of kingship and obedience, but Saul hesitated. He defeated the Amalekites in battle, but he decided to play by his own rules. He spared the Amalekite king, Agag, and kept the best of the sheep and cattle, claiming he wanted to sacrifice them to God. It sounded spiritual, but it was actually rebellion. When the prophet Samuel arrived, he heard the bleating of the sheep and knew Saul had failed. Samuel told him that to obey is better than sacrifice. Because Saul refused to fully deal with the spirit of Amalek, the kingdom was torn from him. The failure of Saul had devastating consequences that echoed through time. Because Agag was spared even for a moment, the bloodline of Amalek survived. Fast forward nearly 500 years to the Persian Empire. A man named Haman rises to power, and the scriptures identify him as an Agagite, a direct descendant of that same Amalekite King Saul was supposed to stop. Haman carried the ancestral hatred in his bones. He orchestrated a plot to wipe out every Jewish man, woman, and child in the empire. The ghost of Amalek had returned to finish what was started at Rephidim. It took the courage of Queen Esther and the wisdom of Mordecai to stop the genocide, proving once again that the battle with Amalek is never truly over until it is dealt with at the root. When we look into the modern mirror, we see that the Amalekites aren't just an ancient tribe lost to the sands of time. They are a blueprint for the internal war between the flesh and the spirit. Amalek is that voice that tells you that your progress doesn't matter. It's the habit that waits until you're stressed and lonely to strike. It's the cynicism that mocks your faith when life gets hard. Just like the ancient Israelites, we often find ourselves attacked at our weakest points. We find that when our hands are down and our spiritual focus is blurred, the old shadows return to haunt us. Don't make the mistake of King Saul. Don't try to dress it up or keep the best parts of a bad habit. It is time to draw a line in the sand. It is time to decide that the things that target your soul's vulnerability have no place in your future. Thank you for joining me on this journey through one of the most intense chapters of biblical history. Don't forget to subscribe to Bible Stories and Insight as we continue to uncover the deep truths and timeless lessons found within the pages of the Word.